Hi, I'm Trevor Sambrano. We're at Jackrabbit Boxing Gym in Long Beach, and I'm the advisor and trainer to Ashton Still, as many as all the other young kids around here with Ivan, Ashton's father.
Tell me a little bit about the next fight coming up on August 29th.
Yeah, so we have a busy time right now. We have 5 kids that have fights on August 29th. We have Nemo Williams that's coming out of the Bronx. We have Javian Cardinal that's debuting. Nemo will be debuting as well. We have Sincere Brooks, who's 16, who's just fought 3 weeks ago, who's having his second fight. And we have Ashton Silva, and we have Andre Mendez. Ashton's obviously a very touted phenom out there that everybody's been watching. He has over 100,000 followers. He's a very popular kid. 10 national titles, 2 international titles. And then there's other kids that we have here too that are making a lot of noise. Andres especially is a very exciting kid. He's got a style that I think most Southern California people are going to resonate with because he's aggressive and he comes with it. Nemo, same thing. And Javion's sort of a best kept secret. He's 6'5" and 160 pounds. And there's another kid named Hess. So, yeah, there's a lot of them. Sometimes it's easy for me to forget them.
And have you been following all of these kids and training throughout their career?
So for the most part, I've been with most of these kids for the last couple of years. Ivan, has had him since the inception of the career. He's the first one to put a boxing glove on him. It's been exciting. I had stepped away from boxing and for probably about a year or two, and Ivan kind of convinced me to come back. And when I came back, I had the opportunity just to work with a lot of amateurs, and it was definitely different than professional boxing because in some ways it was a lot more pure. So I got my love back, and it's great to turn these kids into professionals and to start their careers and see what happens.
What do you tell the kids to encourage them to not quit?
With kids, for the most part, it's like everything else. If you have a goal that you can see in front of you and it's obtainable, if you go out there and you reach that goal, you can keep that momentum. If you create a goal that's so far away from you, let's just say you're 15 and you're thinking about being a world champion, you should think about being a world champion at 15, but it's unrealistic to get that done at 15. If you're 15 and you're thinking about being the national champion, or if you're 16 or 17 and you're thinking about your professional debut and where you'd like to debut, these are all things that you can keep that momentum and keep moving, pushing forward that moment. So for the most part, we keep everything realistic and in grasp with the kids.
And how does an amateur fighter go pro?
That's kind of a decision that happens between the team. It's not like the NFL. It's definitely not the NBA or anything like that. There is no draft. Depending on who you're with, there's got to be some leadership there that has a good idea of when a kid should go pro. I was blessed to have the opportunity to work with Jesse Reed. He had 23 world champions. Hector Camacho, Johnny Tapia, Roger Mayweather. I also had the opportunity to work with Joe Goosen, who had 17 world champions for a camp. Being around professional boxing and so forth, you kind of know when a kid is ready. One of the things I think is one of the markers for turning a kid is when amateurs all of a sudden start working with professionals, you get to take a measurement of where your kid is at. If they're performing well with other professionals, you have something there. That doesn't mean that he needs to dominate against a contender or a prospect or world champion, but if he's staying competitive in there with a professional, that's the beginning of his career, and you can make the right decisions accordingly.
And how do you encourage the fighters to cut weight?
We try to be honest with the fighters as far as them just sort of being more disciplined and diligent with their diet. There's no rocket science behind this anymore. It's pretty much don't eat a lot of carbohydrates, stay away from the sugar, and stay away from the sweets and stay away from the salts, right? We have a thing, and this is actually something that I learned from Abel Sanchez when I went to the summit one time. We try to weigh them almost every day or ask them what their weight is. If a fighter doesn't know what his weight is every day, then it's easy to sort of lose track, especially during trying times like this, like COVID, where so many people were at home and they were eating. But yeah, it's just regularly checking in how much you weigh. Now I don't need to throw a kid on the scale and to see it for myself, but it's good to ask them. It also keeps it on their mind.
And how has COVID affected the training?
It's definitely been an obstacle and difficult to navigate COVID. Besides the fact that COVID is just, taking people's lives, and with boxing and so forth, you have people in here that are sparring, we're holding pads, they're sweating, obviously, they're breathing on each other and so forth. What we try to do is to keep the gym private, and the gym has been private. That being said, we control sort of the flow of who's coming and who's not coming. We also have other, things that are precautions as far as cleaning. Everyone is to enter the gym with a mask. We've gone to the point where we were having people step on pads and so forth. But, watching COVID sort of play out locally in the city of Long Beach, this is just one of these things that the general populace as a whole is probably going to have to, sooner or later, run across. So I don't think there's a magic formula, and it has definitely been a trying time.
And has it affected much to prepare for the next fight on the 29th?
I think that it's affected it a little bit just because all the gyms sort of seemed like in the last 5 or 6 weeks, everybody started to get their momentum going again. Not so much for this camp with the kids that we have, but for the camp in Sincere Brooks, it was difficult to find sparring out there, or sparring, a month ago or 2 months ago, because the gyms sort of haven't came alive. Gyms are coming alive now, slowly but surely. Everybody's being very disciplined about who they let inside the door, and now it's much easier to get the sparring. 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, not so much. So, it's exciting. We also have to learn as trainers ourselves, or being into boxing ourselves, that it's not going to have a semblance of what it once was immediately, but it's definitely going to look like that, in probably another half a year to maybe a year, or maybe even a little bit longer. So it's just us being patient and so forth. But all the trainers that I've spoken to, they're definitely returning to the gym. They're taking special, precautions and making sure that everything's cleaned up, that their fighters are staying safe, and so that we can all, move on in boxing.
And so tell me a little bit more about this fight on the 29th.
We're going out to Rosarito. It's a great promotion show. Ivan and I had the opportunity to be out there with Sincere Brooks. We also had the opportunity the week after that to work fights with 7 other fighters. They do a great show. It's at the iconic Papa's a Beer. So everyone's been to Rosarito. They're obviously know what Papa's and Beer is. Papa's and Beer does a really good job of having the event and kind of keeping it away from the people just to keep the fighters safe. It's about 15 yards away. It's in a gated area. You can see it from a balcony. Obviously they got great food. Rosarito's got great food. Papa's and Beer's got great food. People are enjoying themselves. They're drinking, and they put a great show on. As far as having the opportunity to turn our kids in Mexico, I think it's been a blessing in disguise. I've had other fighters turn in Mexico, and I really like this particular promotional company because I feel like the fighters that they're bringing to, from Mexico are giving us a better, more competitive look. I also seen some of the A-sides lose. I saw 3 of the A-sides lose in 2 weeks. That being said, they're bringing fighters that's competitive, and we're not going out there taking anybody lightly. It is certainly not a gimme fight. When Sincere had his first fight, and he stopped the kid, a coach number wants to see this, but he looked over at the other kid, and you could see the tears in his eyes and the tears in his family's eyes. So that's sort of, maybe a sentiment that those kids are coming to win. So we're just excited to be able to have boxing right now. It's difficult in the state of California without being attached to a big show. So to have the opportunity to go out there, it's definitely it's a blessing.
And is it going to be streaming anywhere?
Yeah, it will be streaming. I know there's a YouTube link. They did a great job about it, or they've done a great job so far that I've seen. I'm sure that we'll share it on our Instagram, which is at LB Jackrabbit Boxing. I don't never share it. I hope that's it. If not, I'll share it on mine, which is at Trevor Sambrano, TREVOR SAMBRANO. Obviously, Ashton's a very, very popular kid. Snoop Dogg had actually, reposted that Ashton's debut and reposted the debut of all the other fighters. So we're going to make sure that people, see it. And the other great thing is that we have a lot of support that's coming from Long Beach out to Mexico, and we're bringing all the family down there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Any last words?
No, just stay tuned.